Okay, good evening, everyone. I am now calling this meeting in order on Wednesday, May 18th at 6:12 p.m.
You want me to do the Pledge of Allegiance?
But no housekeeping stuff because usually I rented a start with that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry.
It's all right. Welcome,
Excuse me, would you
everybody.
like for me to give the announcement in Spanish for the number for people to call
Not
so they can
yet.
call and
It's
join and hear the? Okay.
we will get to it. However, if you don't mind, just muting yourself for the moment, and then do what you got to do on your interpretation line. Thank you, everybody, for joining. It is now 6:13, like Madam President Farah Despains has mentioned. We appreciate your attentiveness to join us this evening. This is the agenda for the show. And I will be one of your guest moderators for this evening. I am Erenira Cerrillo. I'm the Administrative Assistant to CEC8, as well as our counterpart, Richard Guevara, CEC8 Liaison from FACE. He unfortunately will not be in attendance with us. However, we do have from District 8 office, Vanessa Ruiz, who will be assisting me as co-host for this evening.
Good evening, everyone.
I just want to cover some ground rules. Before the meeting begins, we want to remind you to please mute yourself whenever you're not speaking. This is a public meeting and therefore it is being recorded. Please be aware that if you choose to attend this meeting, your image or voice or the image of or voice of your child will appear in the live stream footage or in the recording that will be posted to social media platforms the council chooses to utilize. And lastly, there will be a public comment session in our agenda tonight. And we will share those logistics during that portion. We do have interpretation services available. We do have it in Spanish, Bengali, and Arabic here tonight, working on separate lines. For our Spanish lines, we have Lianet Fadel and Rafael Alejos Castillo. And in Bengali, we have MD Nurul Aminoyon and Sharmin Chaudhry. And in Arabic, we have Abir Rihi and Hadir Alamiri for our attendees who wish to dial into these lines at this time. And our Spanish interpreter, may you announce?
Buenas tardes. Por favor, si usted desea escuchar esta conversación, esta reunión en español, puede llamar al teléfono 347-966-4114. Ese número otra vez es 347-966-4114 e ingrese el número de PIN 382-708-758 con el signo de número. Otra vez el PIN, el número que debe entrar es 382-708-758 con el número, el signo del número. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Lianeth. Bengali, may you interpret, please?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Following message will be for Bangla community people. সবাইকে শুভ সন্ধ্যা জানাচ্ছি আজকের এই CEC 8 মিটিং এ। আজকে আমাদের বাঙালি যে ভাষায় দোভাষীরা আছেন এখানে তাদের সাথে সাহায্য নেওয়ার জন্য আপনাকে যে নাম্বারটা ফোন করতে হবে সেই নাম্বারটা আমি বলে দিচ্ছি, সেটা হচ্ছে 347-966-4114 নাম্বার। এরপর আপনাকে যে পিনটা ব্যবহার করতে হবে সেটা আপনাকে বলে দিচ্ছি, সেটা হচ্ছে 417-340-704, তারপর পাউন্ড কি চাপ দিতে হবে। এবং পুরোটা সময় আমাদের সঙ্গে থাকার জন্য ধন্যবাদ এবং সহযোগিতা করার জন্য আপনি অবশ্যই আপনার ফোনের বা কম্পিউটারের মিউট বাটনটা চেপে রাখবেন যখন আপনি কথা বলবেন না, যাতে সুন্দরভাবে এই আলাপচারিতা আপনারা শুনতে পারেন। তো আমি নাম্বারটা আবার বলে দিচ্ছি, নাম্বারটা হচ্ছে 347-966-4114 এবং যে পিনটা ব্যবহার করতে হবে সেটা হচ্ছে 417-340-704, তারপর পাউন্ড কি দিতে হবে। ধন্যবাদ। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Thank you. And last but not least, Arabic, may you announce?
Good afternoon, everyone. This announcement will be in Arabic. مساء الخير جميعا. أنا المترجمة عبير معكم هذه الليلة مع زميلي هدير. للحصول على خدمة الترجمة الشفوية باللغة العربية رجاء الاتصال على رقم 347-966-4114. مرة أخرى رجاء الاتصال على رقم الهاتف 347-966-4114 مع إدخال رمز 930-898-901 مع علامة الشباك أو الهاشتاج. مرة أخرى الرمز هو 930-898-901 مع علامة الهاشتاج أو الشباك. إذا كانت لديكم أي استفسارات رجاء وضعها في خانة الدردشة عند نهاية هذا الاجتماع، ويرجى كتم الصوت والاستماع إلى الترجمة من خط الهاتف. مرة أخرى الاتصال على رقم 347-966-4114 مع إدخال الرمز 930-898-901 مع علامة الهاشتاج أو الشباك. وشكرا. Thank you.
Thank you. Because we will have simultaneous interpretation all throughout this meeting, it is very important that we speak slow, that usual, to allow the interpreters to keep up. If you are conducting a presentation, please make certain that you pause and allow our interpreters enough time to interpret your presentation. Please do not talk over anyone. And once again, this is a preview of the agenda for tonight's show. Madam President.
So I guess officially we're beginning the meeting itself, besides the introductions and stuff, at 6:19. I can't see the screen, you know.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Aurora.
You're welcome. Roll call is as followed. CEC calendar meeting Wednesday, May 18th, 2022 at 6:19. Crystal Brockington. Latoya Coleman.
Present.
Sandra De Jesus.
Present.
Farah Despain.
Present.
Lourdes Jabode.
Present.
Sabrina Rocchio. Aurora Ronda's here, Gina Staten, and Jadali Smalls. In attendance are Latoya Coleman, Sandra De Jesus, Farah Despain, Lourdes Jabode, and Aurora Ronda. Absent are Crystal Brockington, Gina Staten, Sabrina Rocchio, and Jadali Small.
Okay, so I'm wondering, right, in terms of the introduction of the members, did we have that slide or did we skip it? Okay. Yes, obviously, hi everyone, this is me. And sorry. And then we have Lourdes Jabode, a first vice president and borough president appointee, chair of youth committee and co-chair of special education committee. Latoya Coleman, second vice president, IEP rep, chair of the anti-bullying domestic violence committee and co-chair of the parent and community empowerment committee. Sandra De Jesus, our treasurer. Our recording secretary, Gina Staten, and the chair of mental health of the mental health committee, not here tonight, but with you in spirit. Crystal Brockington, our wonderful CC8 council member, not here with you, but here in spirit. And Sabrina Rocchio, the chair of the special education committee and a great member, not here with you, but here in spirit. And Wanda, who is actually being playing the recording secretary tonight. A job that she's really good at, right? Because she's done it for so many years. Borough president appointee, chair of the social media committee, and co-chair of the parent and community engagement committee, and co-chair of the anti-bullying and domestic violence committee. Okay, and so now we don't have quorum, right? Quorum. So we will have to table the approval of the minutes because we don't have anyone to do it, so we'll skip over it. So I guess it's time for my report. I do not have much of a report tonight because District 8 is, I guess, in transition and going through a whole lot of turmoil. But I would say that on Saturday, we are going to have a health fair. Our health fair on Saturday, and I know on June 3rd we are having our legislative breakfast. And sometime somebody help me out with we'll have the announcements anyway in terms of what we'll be doing in terms of the multicultural family day. And so this Friday, and I hope you will all join us, especially the parents, because this will be a town hall, especially for parents, in order to make your voices heard in terms of having, contributing your ideas and your opinions in terms of selecting a superintendent. So that, we are going through tremendous changes. We don't know what Friday is going to be like and what June is going to be like. Everything is up in the air. Parents, you'll be part of that decision. But I will say this much in terms of the direction I would like to see District 8 go into, regardless of what happens in June, because I do believe we have 3 candidates now. It was 2, now it's 3. Regardless of who becomes the superintendent starting in July, moving forward, I hope that what we will see in District 8 is a true partnership with the DOE and parents, because I think gone are the days where education was just about, the principal comes to school and the teachers come to school and the kids come to school and everything happens in school, and then it's not connected to what's happening at home, and it's not connected to what's happening in the community. And then we don't understand why our kids in the Bronx and especially in our district are not performing. The truth is, are not performing well enough. The truth is, it doesn't matter what happens in the classroom. If it's not reinforced at home, if it's not reinforced in the community, we are not going to see the results that we want in the grades. We're just not going to see them. So moving forward, what I want to see, and I think I can speak for the entire CC and most parents out there, if not all parents, that we want to see parents as partners in the education of our children. And what does that mean? What does that look like? And I think, as I was speaking to a few principals who may actually be on the call, one of the things that has to happen is the strengthening of the parent associations and the parent teacher associations and the school leadership teams and the district leadership teams. And by that, I mean that the voices of the parents must be heard. And although, parent associations do not fall under the jurisdiction of the community education councils, but I will say this, right? Parent associations have to be part of the governance of a school, meaning that it's not gone are the days where you just come in and you have a few bake sales and you just take care of graduation and parties and stuff like that. now parent associations have to really step up and partake in what it is that the kids are doing, and how they are performing, and how the teachers are relating to the kids, and how the kids are relating to the parents, and how the parents are relating to the teachers and the kids, and so on and so forth, because it takes a village. So that means that teachers have to make a special effort to involve parents in what's happening in the classroom. That doesn't mean parents come in your classroom and dictate what's happening in your classroom, but they have to be aware so that they can support, and you have to let the parents know what is going on in your classroom. And that means that principals have to understand that PAs are not an extension of their offices, but are independent bodies with opinions on how things can work and should work. That doesn't mean the principal always have to agree with them, but whenever something is happening in the school, whether it regards safety and or lunch or curriculum or what have you, the parents have to be aware, and they have to be a partner. So for example, there are a lot of parents who would love to come in and not just participate in a bake sale, but they would love to tutor and help tutor children, or help with safety in the schools, or what have you, or give workshops. There are talents there is talent in our community, and if we allow parents to be partners in the education of our kids, then we can begin to leverage what parents can bring to the table, and how they can support the success of our children. So, and that is work that the principals need to do in terms of having real partnerships with their parent associations, and developing what does that look in their particular schools. But that is where we need to move forward. And when it comes to SLTs, gone are the days where, we just get anybody on the SLT, and anybody, we just, we check a box. Parents should have the right to, they should be able to see the budget, communicate what they want to see happen with the budget, because one of the biggest problems we're having right now is that there's so much money in the Department of Education, but nobody knows how it's being spent. And nobody knows how it's being spent to really help our kids succeed. We need those answers. And then when it comes to the DLT, parents have to be treated as real partners. And it can't be a question of, well, we do this over here and you do that over there, and you just, no. It's a real partnership. It's a real collaboration from the classroom all the way to the school level, meaning that when we're talking about the entire school and the school culture, all the way to the district level, and what's happening in every district. And I would love to see PAs work together, across the district. I would love to see PAs and CECs work together across districts and across schools, across boroughs, because right now, District 30, for example, is up in arms because, there are two people from the Bronx applying to be superintendent in their borough. And it's like, and you can see it in the chats and in different places. Oh my God, what is the Bronx doing in Queens? And it's like, why not? Cross-borough stuff should be happening. Not to say that, we're telling them how to run their elections or not run their elections, and who should be superintendent in their district or not. That's none of our business. But I like to see the collaboration of schools across the city, across boroughs, across districts. And I like to see the collaboration of parent leadership groups throughout the city, across the districts and across schools. And I think tonight, that is my message, that parents want to be included in the decisions that are being made from the classroom all the way to Tweed, and all the way to the state, and all the way to the federal government. And speaking of that, if you check out New York City SEF, Coalition for Educating Families Together, we actually spent the weekend in, some members spent the weekend in Washington, D.C., interacting with parent groups from all over the country. It was great check it out, because I think what's happening right now, the movement in this country, is that parents are demanding to be partners, not only in the Bronx, not only in New York City, but and not only in the state, but all over the country. So principals, if you are listening, right now you need to know that you need to find ways to make parents your partners. And of course, to also listen to the voices of the children, because the children have a lot to teach us. Sometimes we think we know everything, and our children will let us know, you don't know. And the students will let the teachers know, you don't know. And I know when I was in the classroom, there were plenty of students who said, Miss, I know you're teaching this thing up there, but we're down here, or we are thinking this way or that way. And listening to my children has made me a better mom, and listening to my students when I was in the classroom made me a better teacher. And I'm saying to us right now, we stakeholders, education stakeholders, it includes the children, it includes the teachers and the principals and everybody who works in a school building and who works in education, but it includes the parents and the children, and we all need to be listening to each other. So thank you very much. That is my message for tonight. Okay. And now, Mr. Antida, if you would help me know what the next thing is. That was my report, yes. And
Crystal
now
has
Before you continue as 6 members, we can vote the minutes. Crystal is on.
Crystal
Thank you.
is
So
on.
before we
I
go,
had to send her my link because her link was not working. So
all
I
right,
sent her
Aurora.
mine.
And then discretion is something that we also have to learn, because not everything needs to be out there. Okay. So yes, so now if we could go back to the minutes, and everyone please take council members take a minute to review the minutes. I'll give you about 60 seconds and then we'll vote on the minutes.
Motion to approve minutes from April 13th meeting.
Second.
Crystal,
I agree.
Latoya,
Yes.
Sandra, Sandra, do you approve the minutes? Sandy, are you with us? Oh, yes. She put yes in the chat. Farah,
Yes.
Lourdes,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. All 6 members approve the minutes from the April 13th meeting, 2022. Motion by myself and second by Lourdes Jabode.
Okay, and now we'll have reports from our members. So Lourdes, I see you, so I'll let you go first. Okay, it seems like Lourdes may not be able to go first. So go ahead, Latoya.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to thank you again for coming. I also want to mention that looking forward to having you attend our health fair this Saturday. Also, PS 333 has a concern about a school crossing guard. Also, PS 130 has invited me to Career Day to speak on how to being a CC member and being a liaison to their school. So I'm looking forward to attending to that. And also, as being chair with Aurora Rhonda, I would like all principals and us to take time in a moment of silence. You know, there's a lot of violence going on, and we must not protect ourselves with our families and our children. And if you have anything in mind of what we can do for the district to, you know, bring the violence down and to protect ourselves as well as our parents and families, you can place it in the chat and we're willing, open for comments and suggestions. Thank you. Farah, you can tell the next, you want, Sandra, you can go if you're ready.
Thank you, Latoya. We were actually honoring a moment of silence. Okay, so next, Sandra De Jesus, would you like to go?
It seems like Sandra is having problems with audio and video.
Okay, Aurora, would you like to give a report?
Sure. Well, like Latoya said, the moment of silence, rest in peace, Kiara Tay. The Yankee game was awesome. It was absolutely wonderful. Did the borough president's parent appreciation dinner, which was very nice. And, you know, been doing my social media stuff and reaching out as far as violence in the areas and speaking to people on how we could get some additional police presence and so forth to help stop the violence.
Thank you for that. Sabrina is not here. So, Crystal, would you like to give a
Oh,
report?
wait, I had to read two questions
go
that
ahead,
Gina sent me. Gina sent me two questions that she wanted me to ask.
Yes, go ahead. Or do you want to wait for until the superintendent is giving her report and then we can give her questions afterwards?
Okay.
Okay.
It's up to you. What do you think is best?
Yes, I think that's best.
Okay.
Crystal, would you like to give a report?
Sure. So for right now, I've been focusing on the spring ahead. I did some follow-up with a lot of vendors and politicians and such. A few people have gotten back to me. In terms of reaching out to my schools, everybody that I've reached out to said there's pretty much been same as usual, nothing outstanding. There are a few projects that are nearing completion. So the capital improvements are being done. And there was one or two projects that have gotten pushed out that I'm still following up on for one of my schools, Kim Novak School. And Principal Rogel and I have not connected yet, but we will connect sometime soon, and I'll have an update on that in the future. That's about it.
Karen Farah to be muted. I've been doing that a lot lately. So, all right. So, Sandra, are you able to speak now? Okay. So I think that will be it for reports of the members. Thank you, Arendita, for this nice thing over there with the list of the names, because she said Farah is blind and let me help her out. Thank you so much. That was actually very helpful. Okay, and next, the announcements. Latoya, are you able to read the announcements for us? Also, Arendita, I sent you the one regarding okay, thank you. Latoya, are you able to read for us, please?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. You're welcome. If you wish to be added to the CEC 8 email list, please click the link in the chat box or scan the barcode. Please email CC8 at our email to volunteer with one of our committees: social media, youth, anti-bullying, domestic violence, special education, PACE, which is parent and community empowerment, and mental health. Also, if you want to be a member of New York City Bronx CEF, we're so happy to have your voice and expertise. Email info@cefnyc.org or Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, or email. Also, please join a virtual roundtable with New York City Coalition for Education Families Together and David C. Banks, and Chancellor of New York City Department of Education, Thursday, March 26th, from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Register to attend. The link will be placed in the chat. Also, we have vacancy announcement, 3 positions available, apply today. Most importantly, we do need an English language learner as one of our members. If you're interested, please email us at CCA for an application. Yay! Save the date. Springs forward into Saturday, which is May 21st, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We will be springing into our health fair. Looking forward to having you, the community, knowledge, and empowerment.
Okay, so I believe thank you so much for that, Latoya. And now I believe we have a presentation from the Office of Food and Nutrition Services by Ms. Peggy Thomas and Sean Chambers from District Supervisions.
What
Sarah,
happened
you
to
skipped
the
over
superintendent's
Superintendent
report?
Joint.
Are you? That's not what I saw there. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Superintendent. But you saw how I was squinting my eyes, right? I don't make this up. I can't see it. I think I need glasses, and I have to just admit that to myself and go get glasses. Oh my
No
God,
problem.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. I am so excited to see every school represented tonight on the CC meeting. Thank you to all the principals that are here, assistant principals, the parent coordinators, the parents, the teachers, and the staff. We all appreciate you being here to support our CC. So thank you for giving some time with us tonight. I'm going to share my PowerPoint for the night. And Andita, can you see it? Just give me a thumbs up if you can. Thank you. Thank you. Let me. And while it has been done already, I would be amiss if I did not do the same. We had a terrible loss in District 8 this week. One of our 6th grade students, 11-year-old Kiara Tay, unfortunately passed away due to gun violence in Hunts Point, the Longwood section of the Bronx. 5 o'clock in the afternoon by the nail salon, the hair salon, innocently. And she's no longer with us. And so I know we've done it twice, but I ask again for a moment of silence for Kiara Tay. She was a student currently at BAM Middle School in Hunts Point, and formerly a student of her whole elementary career at PS 48 in the Hunts Point section of the Bronx. I was lucky enough over today and yesterday to be at BAM, be at PS 48, share my condolences and thoughts to former teachers, current teachers, and staff. Today, I know Sandra's mic isn't working, but her and I spent time with the mom and dad of Kiara Tay and a lot of elected officials for a cry to end gun violence. And so we aim to bring this into our schools starting immediately. And so hopefully you will all support us in this mission to really be activists and speak out against what happened to one of our own. We don't want it to happen to anyone, but it hit home this week for us in District 8. And so to see the mom today and hug her today, words cannot explain what the family is going through. So thank you for all the support to the family and the community, for everyone on the call. Our 5-year plan in District 8, as we see in every meeting, but I'm going to cut to around the district. And so as Aurora said, New York Yankee Bronx All-Star Day for Education was a complete hit. We had District 8 and D8CC and parent leaders in the house. It was an awesome event, and I was able to go on the field and recognize Alvin Paulino from BAM with a special leadership award on the field. He is part of our My Brother's Keeper program, which is run by Darlene Lighty in the District 8 office. And boy, what a leader he is. So it was a pleasure and a great day for kids, some of which who had never been to Yankee Stadium before. Our domestic violence workshops, I heard Latoya mention the committee co-sponsored with the CC. We ran a series of domestic violence workshops for students and parents. It was 3 workshops. There were Saturdays, it was after school, during the day. This was supported by Dr. Ball and his social work team. They are amazing. They were also on site at BAM and PS 48 yesterday to support those in need. But these domestic violence workshops stemmed out of a real need in District 8. And so thank you to the team and CC8 for co-sponsoring, particularly Aurora and Latoya for working in the planning of these events. District 8 Parents as Partners, I put that it's back, but it's been back for half a year. And our last session was focused on math, and it was led by PS 75. Shout out to those on the call from 75. And we hope that we have parents at our next session. We have monthly events just about every single day of the month. We have something going on in District 8 for parents and ways to partner. These Parents as Partners are just solely focused on academics, but we have workshops on mental health, domestic violence. We had one on behaviors today that Sylvia hosted. The list is endless. And like I say, there's something every day. Please check out our monthly parent calendars because they are chock full of ways to really work with the schools and partner with the schools. New gifted and talented site in District 8. CC8 and I partnered around a discussion around where our District 8 site should be set. And the CEC selected PS 75. We did a walkthrough of PS 75 and all should be moving forward with starting a G&T program at PS 75 in grade 3 this fall. And thank you to Principal Arietta Cruz and her team and their willingness to lead this work. Culture responsive and sustaining education, D8 parents and administrators have continued to work with Dr. Goldie and with a series of workshops. Haley Fisher from our team is engaging schools and looking at their curriculum. And yesterday I had an opportunity to engage with APs and principals around bringing the joy back into the work we do. And I hope that the APs and principals on the call can attest that we had a great day working together and really collaborating. Science of teaching reading. We hear this a lot with our chancellor and our mayor. We are full force on the science of teaching reading, as we have been for the whole year that I've been the superintendent, and Dr. Roz is really doubling down on this work. And she is focusing on work with our assistant principals, and one of our anchor texts called The Science of Shifting the Balance, looking at the pillars of teaching reading. And we are so lucky to have Dr. Roz in our district, as she really is an exceptional leader in this work. And this is going to really help continue to raise our ELA scores and our reading scores, which have already been on the rise in District 8. And finally, summarizing, enrollment has concluded as the portal had closed on May 12th. I'm pleased to say that our elementary sites are full. They are jam-packed, and principals and assistant principals and parent coordinators and CBOs have been hard at work in planning for the summer. Jean Lennon from my team is doing an awesome job at spearheading this work. And I'm so excited for all the amazing principals and APs who have stepped up to be in charge of this program. Boy, is it going to be great, as the CBOs and schools have amazing work planned ahead for students. And so giving them summer programs that are viable options that they're going to engage in is really, really exciting. And that is my report for today. And again, I just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the work you do. And I can't think of a better team to work with and be with. So I'm just can't say enough that I appreciate each and every one of you.
Thank you so much, Superintendent Joint, for this wonderful report. And now,
Farah, should I
Maggie
ask those
again,
two
huh?
questions now?
Oh, yes. Okay, I'm just off today. Everybody just go ahead, please. I forgot. Farah's brain is not working today, just so you know,
Yeah.
so.
Hold on one second. I'm pulling them up. These questions, Gina sent them to me to ask Superintendent Joint. How are absences handled recorded on days when a student was not cleared to enter the building as per the health screener? Are those excused absences, are they counted against the student negatively? Where can parents access the history of the online health screeners completed for the year?
Great question. Thank you, Aurora. Part of it I know and part of it I don't. And so if a child is absent, they're absent and they're recorded as absent. But if it's because they failed the health screener due to COVID, it is coded as such that it is a COVID-related absence, and that would be such if they failed the health screener. In terms of going back and searching for prior health screener information, that's a tough one because some people complete that on paper and those are not recorded in any online system. Those who do it online, there very well could be a way to record or go back and get data around the health screener, but that I've never been asked before. So I'll have to research that one and get back to you, Aurora, and certainly to Gina. But the bottom line is this year, because we're full in person, anyone who's absent is absent, but it is logged as COVID related if that health screener is failed, or if they have COVID, it is recorded as such that they're following the quarantine mandates.
Okay, there was one last question I missed. I'm sorry, Jen. It says, how could the school count this against the student if the DOE is saying the child could not enter the building?
Can you say that one more time? I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. It says, how could the school count this against a student if the DOE is saying the child cannot enter the building?
Well, great question. And I might not be giving this specific technical answer. Because you're right, you know, we all have probably had to have absences because of COVID or because of other health related matters. And that is a policy where we cannot enter the building, but we're still absent. And so it's coded as being, COVID related, but you're still marked with an absence. So it might not be the best answer. And I do hear the point Gina's trying to make. But unfortunately, attendance protocols and procedures do speak to marking you either present, you're in person, or you're absent and you're absent, and then codifying the reason in our attendance system or iLog is what we do in the DOE.
But there is a code for the
Yes,
COVID related.
absolutely, yes.
Thank you. You're muted.
Thank you so much. I was actually trying to talk to my daughter who's infiltrating my speaking here and trying to do it in a slick manner, but you caught me, Aurora.
I was reading lips.
Oh, man.
That's okay. I was just talking to my son, so it's all right. It's part of the, being a mom. So, yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Help me out now, Arantida, because I think it's the color of the background. Like, it's even worse. I really can't see. Like, can you make it bigger? Because now I feel like I don't want to make another mistake like I did just now. Ah, great. I like that. Okay, yes. Now that's in big letters. Office of Food and Nutrition Services, Sean Chambers and Peggy Thomas, District Supervisors. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Can you see me and hear me? I just want to make sure.
Yes, we can.
Okay, hi, my name is Sean Chambers. I'm familiar with a lot of the faces on this call. I used to come to the CEC meetings very frequently before COVID, so I do know a lot of the faces. Some of you do know me, but I know there's a lot has changed, over the past few years. All right, I'm here today. This is my 9th year in District 8. Ms. Thomas was also on the call. I'm not sure how long. I think she's at 4 years now, Peggy?
Yes.
In District 8. And for those of you who don't know us, we're the supervisors for the food service program. And if you have any issues with anything, we are the contact, all right? Our office is located inside IS 123, right, downstairs. And basically, we're easy to find. So any issues that have to do with food service, Ms. Thomas, Peggy Thomas, and myself are the go-to. Okay. You want to add anything, Peggy, while I get the screen?
Nope, that's it.
All right, we're going to give a brief. We're going to give an overview of the food service program and take any questions at the end. I believe we have some people from our menu management department that are also on the call. If needed at the end of the presentation, if they can be added just in case that we, any questions need to be answered by them. Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Agenda for tonight. I hope you all can hear me. The overview, we will do an overview of the school meal program, the federal meal requirements, the DOE food quality standards and options, and then we will take feedback. We want to hear from you. We would like to incorporate, your feedback will be incorporated into the future menus and the dining experience for all of our students. The goal is for the DOE is committed to providing healthy options for our children. As of now, the DOE school food program has over 25 menus that are in play that we use daily. We have over 500 recipes. We serve 1,800 school buildings. We serve over 1 million students, over 900,000 meals daily to all of our students in New York City. Next slide, please. Our program is student driven. We frequently have taste testings that we are welcome to feedback from our students. In order to get into the, go back, Mr. Chambers. So back to this, yes, okay. We do taste testing, where the principal has the option to nominate a school to be a part of the taste testing team, where we have someone come out from headquarters to, excuse me, to give a taste test to about 20 to 30 of your students. We like to have students represented from each grade, from first grade up into the 8th grade, so it could be an overall representation of the whole school. Once we have the taste testing, someone from headquarters will come out to prepare and serve the selected item or items. For example, if it's chicken or a chicken patty. Once the student tastes it, we have to have 60% of student feedback in order for this item to make it onto the citywide menu. We will be reaching out come up the following months for the next school year for any schools that's interested in participating in student testing. Breakfast menu features. We have seasonal fresh fruit. We have local dairy items. We serve whole grain, low fat, high fiber, and limited sugar items. No sugary fruit juice is offered. We have different type of breakfast models that we serve in your schools. We have the hotline service, which is the traditional line where the students come down into the cafeteria and come onto the serving line to receive their breakfast. We also have a program that's called Breakfast in the Classroom, where we offer cold bag lunch breakfast to be picked up and take to the classroom where the students eat their meal at their desk so they can start their day. We also have the grab and go model, where we can have different stations within the school by the exits, wherever the principal choose, where the student would take the bag breakfast and take it upstairs to their classroom instead of staying in the cafeteria. Our lunch menu features meatless Mondays, plant-powered Fridays, reduced processed deli meats, locally sourced produce, products, seasonal fruits and vegetables. Multiple menu options are available daily, and the menu is identified with a B for vegetarian and VE for vegan. Our meatless Mondays, there are no meat items offered on that day. We will have items like mozzarella sticks or pizza. Our plant-powered Fridays, which was formerly known as Vegan Friday, is our newest item and menu for our students. On this day, there is no meat products offered and very limited dairy options, such as cheese sandwiches and milk. We offered our fresh fruits every day and vegetables. Also on Plant Powered Friday, if the student does not want the menu of the day, they are offered the black bean burritos, or like I said, the grilled cheese sandwiches or cold cheese sandwiches, peanut butter and jelly. Next one. We have our salad bar, which is back. Our students love the salad bar. Yes, Ms. Joint. We love the salad bar. So salad bar, fresh fruit and produce. The fresh salad bars have been in over 1,000 schools across the city for several years, providing an opportunity for students to consume unlimited amounts of fresh vegetables and a variety of healthy and nutritious salads. The opportunity for self-service salad bars enhances the students' nutritious lunch experience and gives them a chance to try new foods. So they are welcome to come onto the line to take our traditional meal, and then off to the side, they have the salad bar with the beautiful tomatoes, cucumbers, lettuce, pickles, carrot stick, celery stick, and they could take as much as they want to their little heart desires. Office of Food and Nutrition Services continue its dedication to a plant-forward menu, offering vegetarian and vegan items daily, serving local seasonal fresh fruit and vegetables, reducing the processed meats and increasing our plant-based offerings. Milk is the required beverage component. Alternative milks are available upon request. providers. Okay, so this is just to give us a breakdown of how our breakfast and lunch menus are menued with nutritional values, what is required of us to ensure that the students have on a daily and a weekly basis. Menu nutrition standards. The Office of Food and Nutrition Services has the following standards in place. Federal, the USDA, the NSBP, which is the National School Breakfast Program, and NSLP, the National School Lunch Program, weekly meal patterns, and nutrient standards. It varies by grade and age. The menu components includes meat and the meat alternative, vegetables, fruit, and milk. The nutrients are focused on the calories, the sodium, and the total and saturated fat. New York City food standards focus on nutrient standards of specific items. For example, your chicken tenders, the sodiums cannot exceed 480 milligrams. Saturated fat cannot exceed 10% of the total calories for the day. Office of Food and Nutrition Services prohibited ingredient list. For example, our chicken tenders do not have any soy fillers. The Office of Food and Nutrition Services specification, for example, chicken tenders, NAE, humanly raised, 51% whole grain bread. Next slide. We also have a new menu that we have coming up that's offered to a lot of our schools. It's halal. We have certified halal schools in District 8. Right now, we have X75, which is Fair 75. We have it in X174. We have it in X125 and X119. For our halal option, we have chicken items. Items are reviewed and identified as halal, which is the H on the menu. For any school that is interested in joining a halal program, the principal or the school leadership may reach out to the school food service manager, who will then in turn reach out to Mr. Chambers and myself, and we will forward the information along to headquarters to add your name to the list of schools to get halal. If your school is selected, you will be certified by a Amman, who will come out to give us training and make sure everything is up to par for you to begin this program. Menu accommodation, food allergies. We have product labels upon request for those who are allergic to any items. A request is made at the point of service. So if we have a student that's allergic to a certain product, we will know once they come onto the line. And medical accommodation, which is a 504 or IP, must be submitted. Milk options, we have alternative milk options include soy milk and lactose-free milk available at all mills. Also, this must be requested through the school food service manager, who then in return will reach out to the supervisor so we can help you with this. Chocolate milk. School communities and principals make the decision to choose chocolate milk to be removed from the menu, with the condition that 2 other milk alternatives must be available, which will be 1% and fat-free milk. Cafeteria enhancement experience. I'm pretty sure some of you on this call have heard about the cafeteria experience, or better known as the CEE. The DOE is focused on transforming middle and high school cafeterias into pleasant, welcoming spaces for students to enjoy nutritious meals. We have completed over 60 cafeterias across New York City. The 4 pillars of the CEE, it's one, student choice, a variety of ways to consume fruits and vegetables, whole fruit, vegetable stacks, and fresh cut produce from salad bags. 2, fast service and more time to relax. No longer you have to wait in line to receive a meal, but instead can take prepackaged meals, allowing more time to relax with the classmates during lunch. 3, modern staff. Newly renovated cafeterias feel more welcoming. 4, new furniture, comfortable tables and chairs welcome students to their new spaces. In District 8, we have 3 CE schools in our district. They are at X174, X120, and X405. And with the implement of the CE serving model, the students really enjoy it. They feel more grown up and more immersed into their serving style. It has immediately increased the meal participation because of the way that the meals are served. It feels like they're getting a whole new dining experience, even though we are serving the same meal. So we are looking forward to expanding our CE programs. And that is all that I have for tonight. And we welcome any feedback and discussion that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I just want to know if I put in an Uber order so that you can just Uber some of that stuff to me?
Okay, no problem.
Well, thank you for that. But I do have a question from a parent from 304 and MS 101 who would like to know, when will the kitchen in that building be done? It's almost 2 years that the food is made in another school and delivered to us. 10 cheese or peanut butter sandwiches is given to 80 kindergarteners. They expect the rest of the kids to eat the hot food. And on vegan Fridays, no one in kindergarten eats. So this is what the parent wrote to me. I'm just saying, and you can respond to that however you want. I don't know.
Great question, great question. Thank you. Okay, so in response into the kitchen being completed, the issue is there's no gas into the kitchen, so they having issues cooking. So we have to satellite half of our meals from an outside source, but they are receiving hot meals. Some is made on the premises and the rest is being satellited from one of our folk schools. On the plant-powered Fridays, the students have the option that's needed in the classroom, the pre-K. If they do not want the plant-powered items, we can offer them the grilled cheese sandwiches or the regular cheese sandwiches and the peanut butter and jelly or the black bean burrito.
And also, I just want to add, we actually just spoke about 101 today and the gas problem. So what we can do, and also what you can do in the school, is follow up with facilities, the custodian, and we'll follow up with the plant manager to see what the holdup is and what's actually going on with the gas in that school.
Someone put in the chat that you should get an electric stove if that's the case.
Yes, I thank you. We have worked on that too, and we working with DSF with that also because they have to do a full panel upgrade in order for us to get more electricity into the building.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that. And I mean, we're still going to have a public session. So we have all confused ourselves now because we started asking questions before the public session with Aurora wanting to ask Gina's question, and we're all over the place tonight. But we're going to recover. We're doing okay. This is Team D8. We're strong. We're good. Just a little cuckoo tonight. That's all.
You were the one who told me to
help me out because who's put the next slide for me, please. And help me read it, make it bigger. Anything you can do, please. Okay, not like that one. Okay, yes. Office of Finance, Federal Stimulus Funding and Contracts for Excellence, facilitated by Myra Bernard, SGO Bronx, and Jennifer Joint, District 8 Superintendent. Does that make up for it, Superintendent? Okay.
No worries, Farah, don't you worry. Thank you. Myra, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm hoping you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Thank you. So earlier on, President Farah mentioned, wanting, I guess, a little more transparency in terms of how, allocations are spent. So one of the things that we'll do this evening, which I'm hoping is helpful, discussing two important funding streams. One of the things that you'll notice is that one of these allocations, which we will discuss, contracts for excellence, is one that is usually discussed in the fall. So what the Department of Education is trying to do is basically have the discussions earlier prior to the release of the budget. The budget, which is expected to be released hopefully by the end of this month or early June is going to be the budget for fiscal year 23. So the first one, as I mentioned, allocation that we will discuss is contracts for excellence. So what is contracts for excellence? It is actually the allocation that is part of state foundation aid. New York City has received it since 2008, and the amount that the New York State Commissioner of Education has set aside for DOE to receive annually is $531 million. This allocation, which we, term, we like acronyms for everything, which we term C4E, has specific requirements. So this means that the funding, of course, has to be used, for these specific purposes, and we'll get into that a little further. So now, what are some of these, requirements? When using the allocation, the specific requirements are, there are several categories. It could be for either teacher, and principal quality initiatives, full day pre-K programs, model programs for students that are English language learners, middle or high school restructuring. In the past, there have been questions about this particular term, where the question was, does this mean, new buildings and things like that? No, that usually falls under school construction authority. This is more thinking about, where maybe you're doing restructuring so you can add, certain classes. Then there's also class size reduction, for example, where you're trying to, keep your classes to a smaller size. And then time on task as well. Now, in terms of these specific categories, there's also more of a drill down, right? We look at the students that are English language learners, those students that are also in poverty, the students with disability, and those that are at, have at low academic achievement and might be at risk for not graduating. So what is the breakdown when we look at the 531 million, which is the expectation for FY23, right? Fiscal year coming up. What does that look like? So there is an unrestricted bucket and a restricted one. When we talk about unrestricted, that's $183 million that we're talking about. So this means that that pocket of money is usually embedded under the tax levy fair student funding allocation where there aren't any restrictions. As many of you have recalled, or possibly recall, about 2 years ago, the announcement was made where all schools are funded at 100%. So it's an even playing field and it's great. Every school should be funded at 100%. Some of this money, the unrestricted, has been used to basically level that playing field. Now, when we look at the other portion, the 348 million, we're thinking back to the slide that I just mentioned before where the restrictions are, right? Where we're looking at that when you have to use it for the teacher and principal quality initiatives, the full day pre-K, the model Ls, the restructuring, and the time on task. All right, so that's the difference with the two. So let's look at it a bit further. Now, when we look at the discretionary, right, basically talking restriction, we're looking at the 348. So how does that break down? So from the 348, what DOE would like to see is that 214 of that, right, is basically given directly to schools. So what does that mean? That principals out of this 214 million, which is under this category, are able to use it in certain ways that they want. So what are examples of that? Possibly, because again, you have to stay within the category, you can possibly fund an E&L teacher, right? Because when you look at the guide that I showed earlier, right? This focuses again on E&L. So again, a possibility. There might be a program, for example, after school or before school, basically, let's say to provide that academic support, right? For the students, that might be, at risk for not graduating. Or again, there might be an emphasis for teachers, for teacher mentoring. So these are examples. Then 134 million of that is targeted and also for maintenance of efforts. So what does that mean? That specific pocket has to be used for ICT classes, right? So just rounding this, that would be about 91 million. 30 million would be for summer programming when we're thinking of, summer rising, right? Summer for all. Then we have 9 million, which is for full day pre-K, and then rounding it to 5, we're looking at ASD, autism spectrum across the board.
That is.
I'm sorry? So now, what does that look like when we look at the percentage and the dollar amount in terms of what District 8 is expecting? So 13.4 million of C4E funds should be allocated to District 8. So percentage-wise, 60% should be for discretionary, right? What I just mentioned in terms of the 214 million. Targeted, right? We're looking at ICT is for 30%, pre-K is for 4%, and for summer school, 6%. So that gives you your 100. So as I mentioned earlier on in the presentation, one of the things that's actually different is that the presentation is happening prior to the release of the funds. So it's extremely, important and part of the chancellor's vision to just make sure that the public is engaged and understanding what's happening. So your feedback is extremely important, and you have the chance to be able to do that. So until July 5th, you're able to provide your comment, and the email address here on the screen is contractsforexcellence@schools.nyc.gov, where you're able to provide that feedback. So now we're going to discuss stimulus funding. Everybody's been talking about it. We know because of the pandemic, it's basically been a great help and resource for us. So what does that look like for FY23? The expectation is that the Department of Education will receive $1.8 billion in stimulus funding for FY23. This money is coming under 2 revenue streams. The first one, which we coin CRSA, is the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act. This allocation, just to put it out there, the expectation is that CRSA will only be received, the last year will be FY23, this coming year. The second allocation, which we term ARPA, is the American Rescue Plan Act. This allocation is expected for FY23, the coming year, and FY24, the following year. And just to highlight that 20% of this allocation, ARPA, must be used to address learning loss, all right? And we're gonna go further just to highlight what the plans are in terms of what DOE has with this money. So now when, the mayor and the chancellor made their announcements, in terms of the stimulus funding and what DOE was receiving, of course, there was also more detail in terms of the category. So we're going to go through that as best as possible. So 60 million, of course, off the top was already set aside for summer rising. But in terms of the stimulus, now there has been an additional $176 million added so that summer rising can take place. As you all know, and have probably heard in the news as well, seats, if any available, are very limited, all right? Because, of the options, and everybody, wanting to join, which is a great thing. Now, 160 million of this money is going directly to schools to help with enrollment declines. Why is this important? You've all, again, have heard in the news, and principals that are on this call have definitely experienced this. There has been a loss in registers. Many families have left the city. It's not just, I'm leaving, I'm going to charter. They're leaving the city. So what that resulted in this year, just to put that in context, That was $324 million in loss in terms of register. And the great thing was that schools were held harmless. So what does that mean? They didn't have to basically return that. But the expectation is that for FY23, that is not going to be the case. So 160 million is being added, given to schools to support with the enrollment declines. And that allocation is expected to be part of CIRSA. So now, to break this down a little further in terms of the plan, what the plans are from the mayor and the chancellor. 49 million are expected to go for contracted nurses to continue providing these nursing services that are very vital into DOE buildings. And the funding that will be used is CIRSA, right? We'll be thinking personnel. 33 million is being used to expand career pathways, right? And you'll see that in parentheses, it's basically showing ARPA in terms of the funding that DOE is using. Now, when we're talking about this expansion, 25 additional career pathway programs are actually going to be created. And when we think of sectors, examples are healthcare and technology. Then we're looking at 11 million expected to expand bilingual education classes. Bilingual education is the favored model in terms of long-term success for students that are English language learners. So the expectation for FY23 is that 50 new bilingual education programs are going to be created. 11 million is also going to be used to expand the parent engagement and translation for interpretation services, which is extremely important, especially when we think about, for example, this platform that we're on right now and how important it is to have parent involvement and for parents to be able to understand what is taking place. 10 million is going to go for new digital teaching and learning experiences. 9 million is going to be for CBOs to provide violence intervention activities in high need schools. So that's extremely important, in light of everything that's happening, in our neighborhoods here in the Bronx and citywide. $7 million is being used to expand literacy and dyslexia programming. The chancellor has also mentioned wanting to start 2 schools that are specific, for dyslexic students, and also more programs, to assist and to be able to identify students. Excuse me. 2 million is being used to expand the gifted and talented program. And there are, I want to say 25, and I apologize, I had that here, 100, additional classes that they're trying to open in terms of gifted and talented. So in addition, right, so when we look at the 36 million here for summarizing, that is the 160 that I previously mentioned, and then the 176 that's additionally being added, okay? In addition to this, and what I just went through, there's also going to be 456 for 3K expansion, right? And this is as well going to help CBOs as well. Another 225 million for these academic recovery, for special ed programs. We're also going to have 79 million to continue, the work that took place this year in terms of adding social workers, guidance counselors, and additional school psychologists. And so that, kind of showing the 1 billion, and we're trying to show a little extra, sort of the 8, right, the additional. When we talked about the 1 billion rather, that I covered in the previous slides. The same thing with chancellor priorities. But when we look at the 132, right, in terms of devices and IT supports, what does that look like? We're looking at hotspots, additional, technology and laptops and different things, for the students. Now, when we look at other academic supports, this is the piece when we're looking at what kind of ELA and additional math supports are needed. The same thing with, special ed, those additional supports. The school reopening costs, what is needed in terms of, the PPE and all the different things that need to be ordered, to open a school building. Okay? The expansion of PSAL, I think there are going to be about 100 different teams that are going to be added. Okay, so this is all, great things that are happening this year. So in terms of, prioritizing, as mentioned as I've gone on, special ed and academic recovery was a very big thing this year in terms of an allocation, that was given, to the schools, and that is going to continue. The same thing with the special ed pre-K. Not every school that has pre-K has special ed, but there are certain schools in D8 that do. So that's also going to be beneficial, and the expansion is there as well. 60 million that's going to go to community schools, and also to be able to assist and provide for students that are in temporary housing. And as mentioned before, the 11 million that, is going to be funneled in for, the bilingual programs by the addition, of those new programs this year. A lot, of course, to digest, but the good part is that this is available for your review, to be able to see, what's happened, and your feedback, is always welcomed. So please feel free. Anything that you've heard here that you would need or want more clarity, you are encouraged to please send your questions, your comments to stimulus2022@schools.nyc.gov. I'm available as well to take any questions that you have right now. So I'm opening the floor for any questions that you might have for me. And I'm sorry if I rushed through it, but I appreciate everybody listening.
Thank you so much, Myra. Well, I guess the first question, is, the CC. Can you send that to us so we can read it? I mean, I know it's available somewhere, right?
Oh, sure, sure.
You know how we are. We're a little bit,
No worries.
And can you feed us, please, and send it to us?
Yeah, absolutely. Right after this meeting, I'll send it to your inbox. No worries.
Okay. Any questions, members?
I have a question. I raised my hand. I don't know if you saw it.
No, but go ahead.
So my question is, I know that you're giving these numbers on a more broad scale, on a top level, but how do I, as a parent, see how much of these funds, especially the stimulus funds, are going to work their way into my district and my school?
So what's going to happen, and it's a great question, thank you for asking it. When the budgets are released, and as I mentioned, the expectation is either going to be later this month or early June. When the budgets are released, this actual information is public on the DOE website, where you are able to see what we reference as SAMs, which are school allocation memorandums, and the SRSA and the ARPA that I referenced are part of SAMs. So you are able to see the allocation that the school that you're inquiring about did receive. The allocation, basically the amount that the school that you're interested in received.
Thank you, Myra.
Anytime.
And then my other question is about the stimulus. I know that the normal funding is based upon the type of students that are attending the school, but is the stimulus money restricted to the same type of setup, whereas you have, whatever category you're funding, you have to spend the funds in that category?
Great question as well. So when you mentioned, students and what DOE refers to as grade weights, schools are funded, and that allocation is tax levy fair student funding, the presentation that happened earlier this spring. That's the main allocation that schools receive, and it has to do with register. The piece in terms of the stimulus where I referenced that DOE will provide 160 million to sort of help with the decline in registers is because there is an expectation that tax levy fair student funding will be much less because registers are expected to be lower. So in terms of the ARPA, there were several buckets of ARPA that were received this current fiscal year, which was FY22, where principals did have to pick reference to as a tenant in terms of how they were using the money. So for example, was this being used for the arts? Was this being used for literacy? Was this being used for academic intervention? Was this being used for data assessment? So right now, the expectation is that there will likely be some restrictions next year, but once the allocations are received, there will be more clarity. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Anyone else? I think that's all for now, but we reserve the right to have you back, even if not at a CC meeting, but like maybe a committee meeting where we can just, have a conversation amongst ourselves. Because some of us need more time to, sort of delve into the numbers.
That's fine. And I'll send you the PowerPoint, review it, any questions. You can reach out to me. And the same thing in terms of anybody who has any questions and wants to just send it, to stimulus2022@schools.nyc.gov or contracts for excellence at schools.nyc.gov. Please feel free to do that as well. I thank you all for taking the time to listen.
Thank you so much, Myra.
Anytime.
Okay, so now I know that we have from Assemblyman Burgess's office, Miss, Miladis Flores. I'm sorry if I chopped up your name. I apologize. And we also have from the BP's office, Mr. Andrew God. So,
Angel had to leave, but he said
good.
that he's working on getting some additional stuff for Saturday's health fair. And that he'll talk to us at the next meeting.
Okay, sounds good. So Miladis, the floor is yours.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I am the Deputy Chief of Staff for Assemblyman Kenny Burgos, and we're going to be tabling at the event on Saturday. We also are going to be providing water, snacks. And also another thing that we're doing in the district is the Assemblyman is going to different schools in the district, doing walkthroughs, getting familiar with the staff in schools, and just getting to know the district a little bit more. So that's what we're doing right now. But yeah, we're going to be there on Saturday. We're going to do some tabling and providing information. And yeah, we're excited to be part of this amazing event.
Thank you so much, Miladis. We're excited that you're participating in what we hope will be an amazing event.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I'm excited to see you all in person.
Yes. Okay, so now where am I having to go? Oh my goodness.
Public session?
Are we in the public session? Okay, we are in the public session. All
Indeed
right,
we
anybody
are.
has any question for?
There is a question in the Q&A.
Yes.
Hold on, ladies. Let
Denise
me do some
Hold on,
formalities.
she has to do housekeeping.
We will take questions and comments from participants who joined via computer on the Zoom room. Please press the hand icon on the bottom of your screen to be recognized at that time, or type your name and the word speak in the chat box. When your name is called, please repeat your first and last name before beginning your comment or question. After so, we will take questions and comments from participants in the interpretation rooms. We will allow for a pause so that our colleagues may collect the names of Spanish, Bengali, and Arabic speaking participants who wish to speak. There will be a long pause and we appreciate your patience. This will allow our interpreters time to organize the questions. And last but not least, if you have called in using phone only, we will call out the last 4 digits of your phone number and will manually unmute your line to allow you to say yes or no if you'd like to ask a question. If you do wish to speak, please state your first and last name slowly before beginning your comment. So we will go ahead and check out with the Zoom room. Vanessa?
We do have one question in the Q&A that Superintendent Joint did say she was going to answer live. I'll read it for our attendees and then I'll turn it over to the superintendent. Will there be busing for kids attending Summer Rising? Because my son has an IEP and the school said he will not receive busing.
So busing is a case-by-case basis. I'll say that in general. IEPs, it depends on what the IEP says for all children attending Summer Rising. So I'll make my answer general. In District 8, in a community school district, most students have IEPs that are for 10-month services. And so if for 10-month services, they receive services, it does not necessarily apply to 12-month services. So I would need a little more information and I'll put my email in the chat and you could feel free to email me. We will be running a 12-month program this summer out of PS 72. Thank you to PS 72 who's on the call for agreeing so graciously. And so for students who have 12-month services on their IEP, all services apply. So I can't say yay or nay. I would really have to look into the IEP. Also, students in temporary housing will receive busing to Summer Rising, and there will be other case-by-case basis. Other students would receive Metro cards depending on how far they live from the site. Again, things are endlessly changing, and so that answer could change in the snap of my fingers, but that is the answer that we've received from Central as of today. Yeah, and I do see in the chat, I believe the follow-up to the Q&A about the distance from the school. So if your child was sent to a school in City Island, but it's a 5-year-old, yeah, I don't know if I'd send my 5-year-old on a bus with a Metro card. So I see that dilemma there. I will again put my email in the chat. Please reach out to me because we might have a workaround that we can support you with. But I don't want to speak out of turn without reviewing all information.
Thank you so much for that, Superintendent Joint, and thank you for the question.
We do have a Cristina Rivera in the attendees list. I will unmute.
Hi, my name is Tina. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
So I have 2 questions in regards. One in regards to Summer Rising. So one is in regards to the busing. I know you mentioned IEPs. With students, if our school is being closed, will shuttle buses be provided for the community to be sent to the other schools, the other school that our school is being sent to?
No, because the way Summer Rising was set up this summer, parents had the ability to select sites on the portal, the Summer Rising portal, and so there won't be any shuttle buses. And so the city opted to open a certain amount of sites in each borough. And based on that, again, parents had the parameters to pick where they wanted to select that site. I know some people didn't get the one they wanted first because it was already booked. Some of our sites sold out, so to speak, in an hour or two. but they will not be providing shuttle buses because this is not a mandated program. This is a participatory program if you want to go. As of today, could that change? It certainly can. Jean Lennon from my office handles Summer Rising, and I'll pose this question to her in the morning just to see if there's any further clarification. But it's the number one question that comes up. I had the opportunity with Sylvia and Vanessa to meet with all of our parent coordinators in person. And please believe me, they push all your questions forward because they hear what you're asking and they really are your voice. And they asked a lot of questions to myself and Vanessa, Sylvia, and Jean. And we are working to get everyone up to the minute information. But you also had a second part to your question.
The other question was, so a lot of families within the community of the schools did not get into their schools, into their local schools. Is anything being done to help these parents? Because now we're having, they talk about community school programs, but a lot of the community is not being able to get into the programs within their community. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I couldn't hit the mute button to get off you as I was listening to you. It makes perfect sense. Yes, that is true. And that is what's happening. But I don't have a good answer for you because once the schools filled up based on the amount of seats or students that a CBO could work with, it's a closed site and they won't be opening anymore because we're at capacity. For example, different CBOs might have the capacity of 50 students, 100 students, 150 students. And once we hit that, there really isn't any other wiggle room for that. Again, it could change. Again, I'd say reach out to me directly with any specific questions. I might be able to work around it. And I agree with the comment in the chat. I think, let's see, early childhood program. Yeah, it's not for pre-K. It's for students in kindergarten, but our elementary program filled up so quickly because these are our babies. They can't stay home alone. Whereas our middle schoolers, many of them can stay home alone. And so we're seeing less students, signing up for the middle school program than our elementary. But I am also seeing some of our sites for the summer are going to be larger during the summer than they are during the year. So we have schools that are usually 400 kids during the year. They're up to 600-700 for summer school. So they really did open the amount of seats, but it's still not enough based on the demand for that elementary school. But reach out to me directly and I'd be happy to help with anything specific.
I did see Sandra de Jesus's hand up earlier. I'm not 100% sure if she still has a question.
Well, basically, I should know this, but I wanted to know when do parents find out if their child is accepted at the Summer Rising?
Good question. Immediately. So as soon as they signed up and clicked submit, they got a receipt that said, congratulations, your child is enrolled in such and such site. So it is a much better system than last year where you're right, Sandra, there was some waiting to figure out, am I in, am I not, what's going on? Right now it was immediate. And then that's why it's a negative answer to the previous questions because people were so ready in the moment to sign up that it was an immediate confirmation that then filled the seat. We thought we would run into an issue because this site went up, it became active the first day after spring break. And we thought, oh, people might forget to sign up. But our awesome parent coordinators, many of them are on the call, they really came up with an active plan to ensure parents were ready to sign up. And like I said, within an hour or 2 hours, these spots were filled on the 25th of April. And this site closed on May 12th, last week.
I asked because I didn't receive one of those congratulations. And I know I was one of the first ones that signed her up for Summer Rising.
May I ask, did you sign up for the 424 site?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I say, Sandra, I will run the report tomorrow or reach out to Principal D, who was or is on the call, and he can let you know if you're on that list.
Okay. Well, I have to be there tomorrow anyway.
Yes, I remember. So yes, ask Principal D and he will run that for you. He has access to that, just to double check.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
There is a question in the chat from D. It states, is there anything to assist pre-K parents with childcare for summer? Summer Rising does not apply for this age group and parents are struggling ending up only daycare options.
Yes, unfortunately, yes. So in terms of DOE provided services, nope. It's unfortunate, but this starts for students currently enrolled in kindergarten. So really for pre-K, it would be a daycare option or some sort of camp option. But in terms of DOE sanctioned Summer Rising, there are no options for that population, unfortunately.
Any other questions in the Zoom room?
I didn't
Before-
see any questions or hand raised. Perhaps you want to go to the translation lines?
Sure. We will put our efforts to the team's translation lines. Arabic translation, do we have a question?
There is no question in the Arabic line. Thank you.
Thank you. Bengali, do we happen to have a question on the line?
No, not really at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, Spanish interpretation, do we happen to have any questions?
This is Rafael, the interpreter. I have asked the question if there's any questions on the Spanish line, but I still haven't received any replies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick sweep, Vanessa. I don't see anybody. Do you see?
No, I don't see any or any questions in their Q&A either, or no hands raised either.
All right.
Right, I see a Q&A now.
There we go.
I know this wasn't mentioned, but what about more summer youth opportunities for the teenagers? I don't know if that was for the council, for our superintendents.
I was going to actually defer it, but I don't want to put her on the spot if she's not ready, to Sylvia, because Sylvia is the one who always gives me the summer youth opportunity information. Sylvia, are any chance you're ready to answer that one, or am I putting you on the spot? Putting you on the spot. So what I'll do is, as we continue to move on, if we're not concluded, I will find some of the flyers around summer youth information, because Sylvia is my queen of that. And we do forward that out to schools every week in my newsletter called In the Loop. And we have a plethora of information. So let me see what I could find, and I'll throw those in the chat if the chat allows me.
Right, she also probably just stepped away. I can also throw her email into the chat and update her. We have another one. I'm sorry, Arenita.
Oh, I wanted to add on in terms of like the teenage group. Ever since we had the park rangers representative from Parks and Rec, Alexi Eckelman, he has been sending me frequently programs that he has. And so unfortunately it was a little too late for me to add on to the presentation, but I did receive information for summer as well as the upcoming school year. If anyone is interested, I can always email it out tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Arindita. The next question was, I wonder, can individual schools create pre-K camps?
Great question. I can inquire, but I'm guessing that may be tough. And so the DOE picked sites that would be open this summer based on a number of things, one being access, meaning that it was free and appropriate access, right? So elevators, ramps, things of that nature, ADA approved. They also picked buildings that are not under construction. So there's a number of construction items going on. And actually, Crystal mentioned this in her report, a lot of things going on that some are getting finished, some are not, following up on some. And Sarah Cece does a great job on trying to get it moving, right? And so some are slow, and that causes our buildings to be closed. And so we were told there's no school funded programs this summer, only centrally funded Summer Rising. And so I think ultimately the answer to the question is no, but it doesn't hurt to ask. Jean Lennon from my team has a Summer Rising call, a meeting every Thursday morning. So it's great timing. I will text her and see if she could ask that question. And if it comes to pass, I'll certainly make sure that becomes known.
I'm not sure what this question pertains to, but it's anonymous. Are there a number of prerequisites listed somewhere? Oh, now I see, for the pre-K.
So I would need a little more clarification if someone wants to come off mute. So anyone can sign up for 3K and pre-K. There are no prerequisites for that besides age. We have 21 elementary schools in District 8, and 20 of 21 have pre-K programs. So we're really excited about that. And we have Dr. Roz from the D8 team that spearheads this work, and she's really amazing at it. I mentioned her in my presentation. So there are no prerequisites, but I don't know if I really answered the heart of that question. So if you want to,
she added to be able to be done like a checklist against, I'm assuming this is she, I'm sorry. If they want to type their name, I will give them permission to speak, but I don't know if that clarifies it again, to be able to be done like a checklist. If you drop in your name, I will be happy to give you permission to speak so you could clarify.
No, if I'm interpreting the question, no, 3K and pre-K is still kind of play orientated. And so it really focuses on something called the skills of autonomy, which means that kids could come to school, they get the flavor of what the behaviors are of school. They learn about the calendar, about time, different nursery rhymes and songs, different read alouds. There's different units of study around, families and communities and things of the five senses, things of that nature. But things are very general. There's information that we ask kids to be able to do around sorting, what's bigger, what's smaller. We talk about colors. Students get nap time, they get feeding time. And so it is broader, but not really a checklist. I will say in District 8, because my focus has been on our littlest learners. Forever it was on middle school or testing grades and above and just looking at test scores. And we really revolutionized the focus to the littlest learners, 3K through second grade. And so I've put a renewed focus on 3K and pre-K. The principals on the call and APs will say, no one has ever visited a 3K and pre-K room before. But now my visits are focused on 3K and pre-K. And when Roz comes to the school, she's in 3K and pre-K. And we've really upped our ante around that. And so we're bringing in what we call the concepts of print, students recognizing letters and being able to write their name. And so I'd say, you could kind of create your own checklist, but a goal for kindergarten is, do you know the letters upper and lower? Can they write their name first and last with the proper upper and lower? And can they start kind of with those initial sounds? It's called first sound fluency of different words, like A is for apple and B is for ball. Dr. Roz is actually doing a series of parent workshops on this. And so that information has come out. Hopefully you'll be there to attend. Hopefully that helped a little.
I do not, spoke too soon. The pre-K summer camp idea was about exploring concepts, and the checklist was to have an idea how schools could create a summer camp program. Again, anonymous attendee, if you wish to clarify, you could just drop your name and I'll be happy to give you permission to speak. I don't see any other information on this question or from this attendee. Would you like me to read it again? Wrong button.
Yeah, I'm like Preston and I went off camera instead of mute. Sorry about that. I think it's really the same answer. I don't think schools are going to be able to create pre-K camps or pre-K programs. Unfortunately, I will ask though. And if schools could, they would definitely know what the components are, because again, they've been hard at work. I'm looking at the attendees on the call. Many of them fall into the elementary bucket, and boy, have they rolled up their sleeves this year to really perfect that pre-K work. So if it's something we could do, we will. And I do think it's an awesome idea. And so I will clearly bring it back to Jean Lennon and we'll inquire and go from there. And if I hear anything, I'll put Erin Deed as the first to know, and then we'll figure out other ways to market it out in the loop and such so everyone gets that information.
Thank you. It is awesome. Please ask. Again, I'm not sure.
We just have another question come in from D. Is there anything we can do to try to combat the recent crimes in our district? Are we having conversations with political parties? I had 2 shootings besides the one with 11-year-old girl.
I don't know if we want me to take it first. I'll say the things that I've been working on. I think this is the question, right? And so we could focus on instruction, we could focus on everything else, but if our kids aren't safe, then what else are we doing, right? And so, you know, I had mentioned today that I was at the scene where this occurred, where Kiara was shot, right? And so all of the political elected officials were there. Again, I was with Sandra De Jesus. I was with the principal of BAM. We had President Gibson there, Bronx Borough President Gibson. We had Assemblyman Burgos. I know his rep was on the call. We had Amanda Septimo there, and the list goes on. And so they really brought out an action call to which I supported around how are we going to stop this? How are we going to be safe? Sandra and I had some initial conversations about programs that we could bring into the school. I see her hand up, so hopefully she can elaborate when I'm done talking. But I said time is now, right? We can't wait till September because as President Gibson said, the summer's getting hot and the kids are going to be out of school. And so there's more time, idle time, and idle time isn't good. And that's why Summer Rising is so important. And this pre-K question is really important. But we're all for it. There were a lot of political guns down groups that were there today, and I got a lot of information to bring back to the district to really put out there. By day I go to schools, and then when I get back from schools, Vanessa, Sylvia, and I meet with every elected official, police precinct, community board. We're with community board 3 in the morning, and I believe it was 9 o'clock. I was at community board 9 the other night, and the list goes on and on. Salamanca I was with today with Sandra. And so we're really pushing hard to bring in the elected officials to answer this question around how do we work together as a community to ensure our young people and everyone is safe. That could have been any of us walking down the street. It could have been any of us on Monday evening. And unfortunately, it was an 11-year-old girl that is in our our community member whose parents are now grieving. And so I think the answer is we all have to work together, but I'm really trying with my team to meet with all the people that have a lot more power, than I may have, to really get this job done and really putting our hands around it. We met with the officer in charge of all the safety agents to talk about how can we make our schools safer? How can we be more welcoming and affirming? And the ideas that came up were magnificent. And so with time, we need time to have this flourish, right? And so I always talk about the District 8 5-year plan, and we're only 1 year in, but we're really building this team of folks that I think are really gonna make District 8 even better than it is. Sandra, can you add more to what we had talked about?
Yes, it was the district attorney's office, Darcel Clark, that was talking about that since the summer is coming, we as part of District 8 and other schools need to come up with workshops and have something done with the kids, like have I don't know where I put down the book. We had one of the authors for a book about guns and children. And he's an actual, he was a writer for Sesame Street. And he was there and he was talking about coming out to the schools to talk to some of the elementary kids about guns and things like that. We also I had a talk with the captain from the precinct where they also come out and they talk to kids and they do some kind of like workshop with the kids about peer pressure with other people, like older kids, like earlier in the year when we had the shooting with the 2 kids from BAM. It was because some older kids that was standing on the stoop was giving the child the gun, telling him, I dare you to shoot him, I dare you to shoot him. And that's what the situation is. So we were talking about having them not getting peer pressured into doing things they're not supposed to do. And we're going to support them on everything. So basically she was saying that we need to do something for the summer because she knows that things might end up getting worse. That's what we were talking about. We were also talking about the Saturday night lights for the older children that'll come out. They want older kids coming out and they're willing to have stuff like PAL and different schools having their their gyms open so they can come to the schools, different locations. We have the banknote as well, that they come out and they have their space at the banknote where they can come out and play. There's many options for us to do for our children. So we got to just put some workshops together, whether it be now or we can start now and go through summarizing with it. That's all.
Well, thank you for that, Sandra. And I think as a CC, we just need to sit down also and talk more about what that means in terms of what we can do. And I know at my PA, that is something that we're working on. And when we have a good enough plan, right? Because we're currently working on it. I think I will share with the CEC and President's Council, and if all the PAs in the district want to band together to address it, in the community, and then with the CEC behind it, I think we can make a difference. But it will take a little time, right? Because putting together the plan and then implementing a plan doesn't happen overnight. So yeah, but definitely at the end of the day, the community has to solve this issue because the schools alone can't, and that's a fact. Yep. So, and our elected officials have to step up. They have to find the money for these programs, and they have to, help, not workshops just only in schools, but I don't know if you can hear me. I think I was frozen for a minute. In schools, but activities and workshops for families all over the district and their city council district, senate district, assembly district, because this is going to require all hands on deck because this is a crisis. We've seen it before, and unfortunately, the Bronx is, pretty famous for this in many ways, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, Bronxites and elected officials in the Bronx, we're going to have to stand up and do something, and we're going to have to get the support of the state and of the federal government. And it cannot just be just to arrest people, right? It's true that in immediately, in terms of immediate safety, we do need police officers around our schools. We do need the safety agents doing their job up and down and around the school buildings. But that's only step number one, because then we need to address why are people getting so violent in the first place? And then we need to have those preventive measures, right? And yes, activities, for kids, that's all great, but most of the people who are doing the killing, they're not kids, right? So what is it that people who are getting violent, who are committing those crimes, why is that happening? And then why is it that our children are getting violent with each other as well? So, and when we find that answer, and I think, government knows the answer. It's investment in communities. You're seeing the results of decades of the lack of investment, whether it's in education, not just for children, but for adults. When you think about things like the dropout rate, when you think about the fact that there are so many adults with no jobs and no profession, no trade. When you think about all the cultural things that are lacking in our communities, when you think about drugs and we think about alcohol abuse, I mean, they are all part of it. When you think about the disintegration of the family, they are all part of it. So let's not fool ourselves into thinking that we're going to solve that problem with just a few workshops. It's not true. Okay, so government needs to do its job, which is to invest in communities and invest in people. Mental health, we have to invest in people and their well-being in terms of mental health, in terms of just adequate resources, in terms of just food security, for example. All of those things are part of it. So we need a comprehensive plan from government, but we also need a comprehensive plan from civil society, right? From folks like you and me, because we too can make a difference by just talking to our neighbors and creating community and building community and letting people know that there is a place for them and we can support each other. And that's work that hasn't been done for decades. And then we have to talk about, and I suppose in terms of being there for each other, that's part of the intervention processes that we need. And then when we talk about, putting people through the system in terms of criminal justice, there's, when people come out, they have to come out to a functioning society. They still need mental health care. They still need resources to sustain themselves. They still need jobs and housing. So this is not a simple problem. And I get very upset, when people talk about, like, it's just so simple. Let's just talk to our kids. Yeah, that's part of it, but it's not half of it. That's only what a percentage, a small, very small percentage. So when I'm thinking about what we need to do with my colleagues, from the Parent Association at Soundview Academy, we're looking at all those comprehensive things and people that we can write to, the resources that we can bring into the community that over time will solve this, because we didn't get here in one day. We're not going to get out of it in one day. So I just want us to be aware that when we are thinking and we are asking schools to do, yes, the schools can do their part. But the truth is, it comes back to our community. It comes back to our parents and our neighbors and, people who live in the community and people who need to be speaking to each other as opposed to hurting each other. But how do we do that? It's a big question. with multi-layered answers that schools alone cannot develop. It has to be an all-around, all, hands on deck community type of lift. It's gonna be a heavy one, but I'm happy to participate in it if I have you as partners, because it can't just be, oh yeah, the CEC has got it, CEC 8 has it, superintendent joint, she got it, the school got it. No, it's not true. It's not gonna happen that way. So all hands on deck, everyone has to get involved. If we are serious about solving violence in our community, everyone has to get involved. That's and for now, that's all I can say. But we are working on it, and we'll at some point, if it's not in June, perhaps in July, we'll be presenting a comprehensive plan, and then we'll see the elected officials, because a lot of them love to show up, for the for the event, the photo op, the conversation. And then it's like, okay, so where are the processes? Where are the systems? Where's the infrastructure? Where's the money? Right? And then it's like, everybody's looking at each other. No, don't look at each other. Look at yourself. What are you helping to bring to the table? Because it's going to take everything. It's going to take money. It's going to take people. It's going to take experts. It's going to take, community building. It's going to take children understanding certain things. And yes, it's going to take guns off the streets. And Albany has to do its job, because in spite of the fact that we have some of the strictest gun laws in the country, how do these guns get into our streets? What is the police doing? What are in terms of laws? Why are we still doing this? So it's it's everything. It's government, it's policy, it's community, it's education, it's also employment, it's also food security. It's everything, because at the end of the day, and I hope you all will say it with me, this is the end of the Bronx being last in everything, including safety of the population and of young children. And for me, as a mother of 2 Black boys, this is personal. It is personal. And I'll leave it here, because I think I need to be saying this in Albany or in front of a microphone at a press conference, because this is CEC stuff. Thank you.
Here, here.
Thank you, Farah, for that. I appreciate it. I believe
Can I say
that.
something?
Yes, Sandra. I do want to keep in mind that we do have the working business meeting that we still need to conduct. And I don't want to be rude about how we feel about the unfortunate events, but I do want to give you your time for that.
All right, I just want to say one thing. Most of the elected officials were the ones that spoke about us doing these things for the summer. So saying that on the press, they can't go back on their word if we come up to them and tell them, well, if we're gonna do this, then that means you have to fund us. Because you put it out there on the press, there's no way you're gonna back out on us now. That's the way I see it.
Amen. But you know what that means, Sandra? The campaign is on, right? Because we have to keep pressuring them for it. And I will say this.
Trust me, we will. And I know I will. So
I know, but not just you and me, Sandra. It's gotta be us by the hundreds and by the thousands.
Ladies, I hate to
You
interrupt,
understand?
but we're an hour overtime right now.
I'm sorry?
We're an hour overtime.
Okay. But let me just say this much. It's all hands on deck, and it's all people. But I will say this. This is the right time to make sure that we are pressuring elected officials, because there is a primary in June, at least for the Assembly. I think for the Senate, it's probably going to be in September. But for US Congress and for the State Assembly, right, it is happening in June. So now is the time, if you're going to put pressure for gun safety issues and for violence in our community, now is the time for you to be calling your elected officials, for you to show up in front of their offices, for you to be writing to them, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take you like becoming like, I don't know, like a bother in their ears, in front of their faces, for them to understand the urgency of it, so that when they go to Albany and they go to Washington, they don't just say, okay, we lost because everybody didn't vote with us. Because if you don't make them vote with you, you're going to lose your seat, because over here, we're not voting for you. And that needs to be a clear message to them. And that can't happen with just you and me, Sandra. It gotta be by the hundreds and by the thousands.
Thank you for that. All right, time check, everybody. It's 8:20. I do want to be sensitive with everybody's time. We can continue this conversation, obviously, and I think one thing that we can do is create a community petition about our wants and our needs. That's the easiest thing that we could do, because the signatures are a representation of each body that represents within the district. That's a suggestion. Doesn't necessarily mean that we have to.
Motion to adjourn?
Indeed.
Who's seconding?
I second.
I second as well.
I need the attendance roll call. Thank you. Motion to adjourn CEC8 calendar meeting Wednesday, May 18, 2022. Time now is 8:21. Crystal Brockington.
Please do.
Latoya Coleman.
Yeah.
Sandra De Jesus.
Still here.
Farah de Spain.
Still here.
Lourdes Jabode.
Yes.
Sabrina Rocchio is absent. Aurora Ronda's a yes. Gina Staden, are you still on? What did she log off again? And Jadali Small. Meetings adjourned by Crystal, Latoya, Sandra, Farah, Lourdes, and myself. For the calendar meeting, Wednesday, May 18, 2022 at 8:21. Thank you to everyone who joined in tonight.
Should we go right into the working business?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so, oh yes, sorry, calling this meeting to order, the working business meeting at 8:23 p.m. on May 18th at, I'm sorry, did I say the time? At 8:33 p.m. Can you do the roll call, please?
Crystal Brockington.
I'm here.
Latoya Coleman.
I'm here.
Sandra De Jesus.
Here.
Farah de Spain.
Here.
Lourdes Jabode.
I'm here.
And Aurora Ronda is here. Absent are Sabrina Rocchio, Gina Staten, Jadali Small, for CC Working Business Meeting Wednesday, May 18th, 2022 at 8:33, you said, Farah?
Yeah,
Or
8:33. 8:23, I'm sorry. Okay, well, let me just go back to the discussion that we were having just now, because, this is the thing, right? And we got to be serious about it. CC members can't talk about how we are so concerned about violence in our schools and be so upset when kids are hurt and when kids die, and then shut down the discussion when it's happening. You can't have it both ways. It can't be. You can't say you care about community and what's happening in the community, and you want to solve problems in the community, and then not be willing to have the discussion when it is brought up. That's unacceptable.
Let me say this, Pharaoh, who are you directing that to? That's what I need to know, because I hope that
He's
wasn't
directing
towards
it at
me.
me because I said we
Okay.
went into overtime.
It is absolutely the wrong message to a concerned parent and to concerned parents.
I don't think that this is the forum for this conversation. I think that a lot of families are still trying to take care of business for the day. And I don't think she was trying to shut it down because of the topic, more so of being considerate to other people's time. So I think if this is the topic that we want to have, I agree with you that we should have this conversation, but we should put everything in order and everything in its time. And right now, we have other things that we need to attend.
I absolutely agree with that, and that's when we text each other, right? And that's when we send private messages to each other. Because the message also of abruptly interfering and saying that also sends, in terms of the optics, it's also a very, very bad message.
I think that if people have something that they want to say, then they should just go ahead and say it and not do those things. But people feel for some reason that they can't say it because of other reasons. So again, another topic for another time. I think we should get to business.
We're absolutely getting to business.
I agree, ladies. I apologize for this, but yes, we do need to attend to business at the moment. We will revisit this. There is a section for miscellaneous thoughts. Absolutely, we can do this. Again, this is not a one-time conversation. This is an ongoing conversation, and it's unfortunate that it knocked at the front of our door. But first things first, we do need to attend to business about the health fair. It was mentioned that people are working on vendor relationships and communications. Is there any kind of update regarding that?
I don't have the list on me at the moment because I'm driving, but I believe, I never say his name right, Sapovla agreed to attend. And I did get another attendee, which I will update on the list as soon as I get to a computer. I also spoke to a couple vendors. I'm not sure if they will be allowed to provide food.
I'm sorry, Crystal,
certified,
you're cutting off. You're going in and out. Can you repeat yourself one more time?
That I need to verify if they are going to be allowed to participate in the event that I've spoken to. They are not on the DOE list, so I guess I'll follow up with you another time.
Sure. Anyone else?
Yes, I'll give you an update on who I have by tomorrow.
Thank you for that, Sandra. We're just a couple days away, so all hands on deck at this moment for our Spring Forward to Health.
Well,
I agree.
You seen Angel's message?
I did.
Okay.
I know Biswa confirmed with me today that they'll be coming out.
Awesome. Okay. All right.
And Elijah from the Department of Elijah from the Department of Parks from the Hunts Point Rec is gonna come out to do yoga, because after that he has an event doing yoga at the Hunts Point Rec.
Awesome. That's great.
I'll let you know the rest tomorrow.
Amazing. Thank you. All right. So tomorrow it's just I'll be putting a list of the things that we have almost confirmed. Next item on the agenda is the legislative breakfast. Do we have any strides on that? I have sent out the some invitations so far. It's still an ongoing thing. Anybody else?
I need to know the time for that one.
It's from 9 to 1.
And the location, I don't have no flyer or anything.
I'll send it to you. It will be taking place at the Castle Hill YMCA from 9 to 1 on Friday.
Okay. Friday the 3rd?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I remember that because that's my daughter's birthday. Okay, I hope everybody doesn't mind, but I have to sign off now. I have a sick child that I have to tend to.
I don't mind, but does everybody else mind?
Go take care of your mommy duty, Sandra.
Thank you.
Have a good night, Sandra.
Thank you. Now I got to give her a COVID test as well.
Proper protocols. Okay, and our Family Parent Day on June 11th, ladies and gentlemen. Do we have any other ideas that we've been discussing from previous that we would like to add on? Okay, so that seems like a no. Any last minute thoughts before ending this meeting?
I think at some point we need to really talk about, a protocol in terms of, and this is a perfect place for it because it is the working business meeting. And there are conversations that we need to have at a working business meeting. And in spite of the idea that, you know, we have a lot to discuss here, I don't know, there's a lot of silence. But I do think in terms of protocol, there is a lot to talk about.
I agree. I agree. This is definitely the platform and the place and time to be able to discuss it outwardly and openly, and to allow our public to know our thoughts. I do want to keep in mind that next month we are in person as well as hybrid. So due to a rise in COVID, I am going to advise that we will need to RSVP in person, simply because we want to be mindful of everybody if they choose to do in person.
My apologies.
That's my recommendation.
Yeah, my apologies, Serendida. I understood that the OML was extended until June, meaning that we could actually continue virtually going forward until the end of the school year.
No, so the state OML was extended to cover the May month. The DOE FACE department had extended that courtesy all the way through June 8th. And so because we passed it ours, we still do need to have in person as well as hybrid, because that is what we chose to do going forward. But that is what the stipulations in the messaging that was sent out. I can be mistaken. I can always revisit it, but that is what my understanding has been for the last month.
Please, can you please check it out? Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Yeah, so Angela, please, for the next meeting in June, literally on the working business meeting, because that is also where we discuss a lot of things, I would like to have meeting protocols on the agenda.
Sure.
And because that may also require a change in bylaws.
Welcome, Gina. Thanks for coming in.
Well, if we have nothing else to discuss, since I am, you know, we will revisit this discussion again in the light of, first of all, how we are going to proceed in terms of addressing the community concerns along the lines of, you know, bullying and violence, but in a more structured way. And then we will address business protocol, because at a working business meeting is the right place to disagree with each other on a lot of things, which is why I chose not to, although I did privately say something, I chose not to do that at the calendar meeting, but it is perfectly acceptable at the working business meeting. And we will do that formally next month. And with that, if no one else has any issues or what have you, fair enough to call the meeting to an end.
Motion to adjourn? Is anyone seconding?
Second it.
Crystal?
I accept.
Latoya? Sandra? Oh, she left. Farah?
Latoya says she's here.
Yes. And somebody put in the chat.
Sandra left.
Where's the love
Sandra
in the
said
room?
she had to go.
Wait, I'm sorry, Aurora. There's always love in the room, bro. Don't worry. We're family. The CC does this all the time, but we still love each other at the end of the day.
We do. We do. We've been working
No worries
together
about
forever.
that. It's
And
just
I'm
an
not even
emotional
mad.
issue. That's all.
I'm just tired. I had a long day.
I understand. But my problem is that,
Just don't breathe fire out your nose no more.
no, it's a serious community issue, and we gotta.
No, I know it is. I know it is, and I made phone calls already. I'm working on some things. You know
Which is
how
why,
I do.
like, huh? And optics matter, because if we were
And I didn't
covered
mean
by.
to insult you. It's just that it was almost 8:30.
No, not me. Our community, right? Because let's say there was a newspaper covering us right now, right? You know what the headline would be? CEC 8 refused to discuss, right, community violence because they couldn't wait to end the meeting. That's what the headline would be.
And I didn't mean it in that way.
I know you didn't, and I love you. That's not the issue. It's just that as a public body, we need to be sure with the kind of messages that we are sending, and then we need to self-correct immediately so that it can clear it up, not because we couldn't discuss it behind closed doors, because obviously I sent you a text, but it also becomes very clear. We also have to make it very clear to the public that we understand that we sort of were rushing things, and then if we send that message, they need to understand that we didn't do it purposely.
Gotcha. See,
Shall
you
we do
calm
roll
down.
call one more
The
time?
fire ain't coming out of your nose no more. All right, roll call one more time.
I don't do well with violence.
I got up to Farah. Lourdes? Is Lourdes still with us?
Yes.
Okay. And myself and Gina.
Yes.
Okay, so Crystal, Latoya, Farah, Lourdes, myself, and Gina have motion to adjourn the working business meeting at 8:42. Everyone have a good night. Thank
Night,
you for
everyone.
joining us.
Good
Thank
night,
you, Deborah
everyone.
Morello.
Always good seeing everyone, even if
Good
it's
night,
virtual.
everyone.
Good night, everyone. Love you all.
Thank you, interpreters. 3, 2,
Have a good night.
1.
Bye-bye.